What is going on, guys? Taylor Stuber with SharpSportsNetwork.com bringing you my big three for this Monday 9-game NBA slate. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm still recovering from this cold that I've gotten in the last couple days, so excuse my voice for this video. But to announce last week's winner for the NBA Season Pass, the giveaway, it is Make It Rain Baby on YouTube. I've seen him commenting on a multitude of our videos, and that's the best way to get our attention to give you that free NBA Season Pass. And if you want to enter the giveaway for next week's NBA Season Pass, all you have to do is subscribe, like this video, and then comment below with your favorite play of the day, selecting a winner every single Monday. But yeah, let's just get right into it with my big three. We're going to start off with Paul George. We know Kawhi Leonard this season is seemingly going to sit out all of the back-to-backs in the regular season. So it's going to leave a ton of usage, just a ton of ball handling duties for Paul George. We know he's averaging 1.6 fantasy points per minute with Kawhi Leonard off the court so far this year. It's against an Indiana team that's pretty stout on defense, but the spread is favorable where it's only 1.5 points. The game should be competitive. A 217 over-under, not the highest, but it's not something I'm going to shy away from, especially when it comes to Paul George in a competitive game without Kawhi Leonard. Only 7.8K over here on DraftKings. He's 8.7K on FanDuel. And on the sponsor of this video, Paul George, is a 14.2K over here on FantasyDraft.com. And again, guys, if you guys want our cheat sheets and NFL Season Pass for completely free, all you guys have to do is sign up using code SharpSports on Fantasy Draft. Let us know, give us some proof that you guys did that, and we'll get you set up with all of our content over here on Fantasy Draft. So yeah, I love Paul George today in this competitive game. And then we know that Fred VanVleet is questionable. He played yesterday, got a bruised knee, left in the middle of the first quarter, I believe, after the first 10 minutes, and he did not return. So it's the second half of a back-to-back. He missed the rest of last game. I lean on the side that he's probably not going to play. And if Fred VanVleet doesn't play, I'm going to be all over Kyle Lowry, averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute this year with Fred VanVleet off the court. If you go back to last year and take off Kawhi Leonard and Fred VanVleet, so we have a larger sample size, he's averaging 1.27 fantasy points per minute. And the real big thing that he gets a boost in is that assist percentage, and that's kind of obvious. You would expect that with another point guard off the court. His assist percentage would go up, but it moves up to 40.7%. Absolutely massive assist percentage. I'm going to want to have a lot of them tonight, especially if Fred VanVleet misses. And even if Fred VanVleet plays, he's playing big enough minutes right now where I want to play him against a Chicago team who is 6th in terms of defensive rating, only 6.8K. I don't understand that pricing. The pricing on all the sites have been pretty poor so far this year, but 8,000 on FanDuel, I guess that's a decent pricing. And then over here on Fantasy Draft, he's 12.3K. An absolute lock for me if Fred VanVleet misses this game. But if we look at the popcorn machine, something that I thought that was pretty interesting, when Fred VanVleet left the game, they were Terrence Davis was the guy that came in and replaced him, and they were kind of going back between him and Norman Powell, getting that run in the starting five. But the real big thing that you want to look at is who's closing for these teams. We saw that they in the offseason they talked about how they wanted to play this jumbo lineup with Marcus Gasol at center, then Serge Ibaka at the 4, Pascal Siakam at the 4 or at the 3, OG Anunoby at the 2, and then Kyle Lowry at the 1. Just a massive lineup, and that's what they did. They closed this game in a competitive one against the Philadelphia 76ers. And so that takes me off of guys like Norman Powell and Terrence Davis a bit, but it doesn't make sense against a 76ers team who's a fairly large team at that, with Al Horford at the 4 and then Tobias Harris at the 3. It's a pretty big team, so it could have been something like that. Now they're facing a Chicago team who likes to play a bunch of guards. We know that they're starting right now with Hutchison out. They're starting Satoransky at the 1, Chris Dunn at the 2, and they like to play Kobe White a ton at the 3. So if they start playing a ton of guards, we could see a lot of run from a guy like Norman Powell. So I like him a good bit today. But guys like Kyle Lowry, OG Anunoby, I think are going to get, and Pascal Siakam are going to get massive minutes today against this Chicago team. 38, 40 minutes is not out of the realm of possibilities with this Toronto team. We know how small they like keeping their rotation, and they're just cheap across the board. So I like all those guys a good bit. And then the most obvious play of the day is going to be Mr. Gordon Hayward. He's averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute on the year. He hasn't played all that much, but he's coming back from that injury. and it was a hand injury, so I expect him to be relatively a full go, assuming that this game stays competitive. And we get Marcus Smart is questionable, and if he misses this game, that would leave even more minutes open for a guy like Gordon Hayward. And it really doesn't matter how many minutes you project Gordon Hayward to play. He's $3,000 over here on DraftKings. Wouldn't touch him on FanDuel at $6,000, but on FantasyDraft and DraftKings, I'm going to be all over him. Don't know how you avoid him at $3,000. It's a good matchup against Cleveland. It's going to be slow paced, but I expect him to grab the start. And then he'll probably play this is just speculation on my part. I bet he plays 5 to 6 minute stints every quarter. So he'll play 20 to 24 minutes. And at $3,000, averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute, that's more than enough to pay it off. And against a Cleveland team, it's hard to get away from him. It's the same thing over here on FantasyDraft. He's only $6,000 on FanDuel. He's $6,000, but that's way above the minimum. Wouldn't touch him over there. So I'm going to take advantage of this. He's going to be extremely chalky. In cash games, you just play him. In GPPs, don't mind getting away from him, just because I don't think the upside is necessarily there, because I don't think he's going to play all that many minutes, but enough to get it done in cash games, help you get up to guys like Kyle Lowry, Paul George, James Harden, if you can get up to them. But yeah, that's basically my big three for today. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, best of luck today, and until next time, peace.